Good afternoon, I'm Jeff. I'm a Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 740 7th Street here in Lake Oswego. We're located at the rear of the home, out by all these doors here. We have a this is a 3-inch clean out. I don't know if it transitions to 4-inch here. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's staying 3-inch ABS plastic after the clean out. We're going through the backflow valve here just so we can bypass the flapper. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. We've currently got water running. Here we go. I noticed there is another clean out basically on the right side of the house if you're looking at the front of the home from the street, which does appear to be sewer. Now we may have to move over to another clean out here at some point. Looks like we've got maybe a little standing water there in the line. I'll pull back here a little bit. Anyway, it's with water running sitting right there at about a half of an inch. We'll actually gauge that though when it's all drained out at the end. Now, the reason I'm pointing that out is I can see a new patch of concrete back here. That was a recently done repair. It's a bit frustrating that it would already have bellied back out again. I don't know if that's the circumstance or how new it was, but looks like a fairly new concrete patch. That's probably our clean out here. It looks like, just by watching the angles of the cameras taken, it looks like it is passing underneath, goes back underneath the kind of the back addition or finger off the house here, comes out the other side. We've got a couple objects there. We've got some little stringy item hanging down from this Y connection. That there could be a root intrusion. It's kind of originating from up inside that Y connection there. It's so stinking small right now, and it's right at a joint and where the pipe starts to fall in a vertical fashion. Sometimes you can get other objects like string, tampon strings, floss, stuff like that can get down the line and get caught. That one's kind of a tough one. It does look very similar to a root though. It's a little easier to tell when you've got multiple of them and not just a single strand. That's what makes this kind of a tough call here. I'm trying to kind of look up inside there as best I can. We don't really get a great view of where that's coming out of there. You can sort of see where it's originating from. It kind of loops back into there. I don't see it. We just don't get a great view. I don't see that thing dropping down or obviously coming down from where we can't see. If that root was originating from all the way back up inside that Y connection, I would be a little bit more concerned about it. At this point right now, what's here is too minimal for me to call it out and recommend you start digging the stinking ground up. Because right now, looking at that, you can see how it loops back into that Y connection there. It looks like it runs right into the plastic, but I'm not seeing it turn and then go up the pipe from there. So that's where I'm having a hard time calling it and make, that it's definitely a root intrusion. With this vertical drop here, the way a toilet flush can come down this and hit this right here, you could get stuff splashing up inside there potentially. So at this time, I'm just not comfortable calling out and spending thousands of dollars on fixing something that it's really hard to confirm. Kind of looks like a root, but we can't see it obviously coming right out of a pipe joint. We have this other object here. Almost looks like a piece of metal stuck between the joint. And it's doing a hard drop here. Yeah, so right now we're just going to move over to that secondary clean out. That's a really hard turn to make after everything we've gone through. We're going to let the pipe drain out completely here before reeling back, and then we'll move over to the second clean out and finish the scope. All right, line's pretty much all drained.
This is a 7.
All right, we're back here at this joint here. We've got, looks like a couple little items stuck in the joint. This here, on the end, totally flat. Roots generally do not grow flat like that. That looks like a man-made thing that got stuck in there. It looks like a small piece of rebar, and it's hard to get a perspective on this. That pipe there is 4 inches in diameter, so what that could also be a rusty screw or something of that nature. It doesn't really look like a root. I've done about 15,000 sewer scopes. I've seen a lot of roots, and that is just looking like a rusty piece of metal to me. Although it is an inconvenient, kind of annoying thing to have in the pipe there, it is not causing any debris to hang up, and it looks like it's just barely wedged into that joint there, enough to lift it up. You have a rubber Fernco around this, and that joint there has not pulled apart. I'm not concerned that that is open to the ground there. So at this time, I'm not recommending a repair. There's no evidence there's any debris that's catching, and it's likely not going to. You have almost a straight vertical drop here, where if that were in a flat part of the line, in the flow line, I'd be more concerned about it. But you can see here that it's a straight, we're sitting flat right now. It does essentially a complete vertical drop here, straight down. So that's the reason why it's not affecting the flow. And for that, I'm not going to recommend a repair on it. We also have this little stringy item here that honestly, it could be a root. It kind of looks like one, but there are a lot of items that go down the sewer line frequently. I've named some string, floss, tampon strings get caught in pipes all the time, and they look very similar to roots, especially if you've only got one of them. Without being able to see a point of origin where that root is actually punching through a joint or something of that nature, I'm not going to recommend a repair there. It's not affecting anything at all at this point. If you're concerned about it, you could do a rescope in a year, maybe 2 years, to see if anything has changed there, and you can compare and contrast the videos. But at this point, there's just not enough there for me to recommend tearing a big hole in the ground and opening that up. Now, and this is our secondary clean out here. We're going to move over to that and finish the scope. We got a little bit of junk on the pipe there, or on the camera lens. Now, that looks like excess pipe glue there, as best I can tell. Looks like it's originating out of that joint. This happens when you put way too much glue in the pipe when you install it, and then it puddles up and pulls in the line there. That, I can guarantee you, is going to cause stuff to hang up in the pipe. So I recommend jetting the line to remove that, and re-scoping to make sure it's gone. And that's there at 37 feet. We're getting close to the clean out here. So we do have some standing water in the line. And again, I mentioned this earlier, this is not a terribly concerning amount of standing water. So far here we're working with like a 1/16 of an inch, if that. What concerns me though is how new this patch looks. If this is a very recent repair, what's there right now, the amount that's there is it's very unlikely to cause issues unless you're putting things like cloth rags down the line and stuff that really shouldn't be going down there. My concern is if it's this new, it might be in a current state of settling. Now, I would find out how recently this was done. If it was done very recently, I would talk to the repair company about it. At the very least, I would get this checked out again in maybe a year or so, depending on how recently the repair was done, to see if it's settled anymore. We're going to go ahead and move over to the secondary cleanout. Alright, we're over here on the, if you're looking at the front of the house, we're on the right side of the home. This looks like an entrance into, a side entrance into the garage. Out that way is the rear alley. I believe this is about 64 feet out from the first point of access. We're going to revisit some of this pipe here. And it transitions here to concrete pipe. As best I can tell, it looks like it's transitioning to 6-inch. Now, this is a perfect example of what you don't want to do with toilet paper, is ball it up, because it does not move down the line very well. You want to fold it so it floats on the water. Now, we've got some old concrete pipe here. Showing a little bit of wear. This right here, this lump in the pipe, that's excess pipe grout there. And it looks like other than a little item there, everything is skirting around it. This is one of those sections of pipe that I would really, because of its age, I would keep an eye on it from time to time. Similar thing there, we've got some excess pipe grout. And then it transitions here over to PVC pipe. Then here in the back alleyway at 45 feet from this point, so in total the line is almost exactly 100 feet long. Pretty much on the dot. So I'll go locate just to verify where this is at. Alright, it does indeed go out to the main lateral at the rear alleyway behind the house. Anyway, you can see we have some aggregate rock showing here in the flow line. That is a sign of wear. At this point, though, the line is still functioning through here. We've got a couple little spots with some standing water, and that's entirely due to the fact that we've got excess pipe grout in the line here. But I'm seeing almost no debris collecting in that spot at all. Now, for that reason, a line that's been around this long, if it were causing consistent issues, it would be very, very evident. You'd have a lot of stuff built up. We've got a couple little things here and there, but nothing significant. But I would keep an eye on the line, maybe every 5 years, because this is old concrete. You can see that everything on either side of it has been updated. This is something that probably will need an update, I would guess, probably within about 10 years, maybe 15. And given the fact that it runs where we have some trees, another good reason to keep an eye on it. As aging concrete lines are much more susceptible to roots getting in. I'm not seeing any cracks or breaks in it. We've got a couple, again, little spots with excess pipe grout, similar to this here. But the sections of standing water are just about 6 inches to a foot in length, and everything's skirting around those spots with very little issue. As long as you're not trying to flush washcloths and things like that down the line, those are not issues. We've got this here again. That appears to be a man-made object there. As you can see, the end of it is flat. Looks like it's been cut and it's rusty. Generally, roots are not going to be red in color. They're usually brown, kind of a clear color, or tan. So at the same time, again, this little spot here, my camera's a little bit gunked up, but that's that Y connection right here where we had a little stringy, strandy item dangling down. Yeah, at this point, I've kind of already explained why I'm not recommending a repair there. There's just not enough to go on. I can't look up inside that joint there to see if it's a root coming out. As best I can tell, it doesn't look like it's coming out of a joint. But again, we don't have a great view there. So anyway, at this time, that's not affecting the flow. And we do have adequate flow to the main. The sewer line is functioning at this time. The one thing I would definitely get done is a jet to remove that debris from 37 feet. It looks like we've got a bunch of excess pipe glue in the line. And re-scope it to make sure it's gone. You could also run the jet all the way out to that spot where we have a possible root intrusion and see if you can remove it. Then when you re-scope open a year, if something has come back, then at that point, that's really going to be the only way that you're going to know if that's a root or not. Is it's so stinking tiny right now. There's about 10 different things that go down sewer lines that can mimic those almost exactly. Ideally, we were able to see a root coming out of a pipe joint or a break in the line, and have enough of them to be able to really definitively say you've got roots there. And then I would find out how recently that repair was done out back. Again, we've only got maybe a 1/16 of an inch of water there. It's very minimal. That's not going to affect the flow in a significant way. But the thing that concerns me is if it's brand new and was just recently redone, that can be a sign of settling that can increase with time. If it were 3 to 5 years old, you know, most things have settled in place by that point. But anyway, I don't know the age of that repair, so it's kind of hard to say. At this time, though, we do have adequate flow to the main lateral. All the pipe that I can, within reason, can say that is in good condition. We've got a couple spots that are a little difficult to tell, namely that root intrusion, or the possible root intrusion. Aside from that, though, the line is functioning at this time.